Wake up, motherfucker.
Oh, hello, hello. It is the PM edition of the show. All right. I did a show about over 12 hours ago, early in the morning. All right. And we had our 2 Sigma event. However, it was not the 2 Sigma event I wanted. So it was pretty boring. Pretty boring. We only went in one direction, up. We could have had a bigger trade. We could have made more money. We could have had a big crash before going back up. Oh well. I guess it's kind of a repeat of Sunday night into Monday morning this week. It's kind of like that. We don't get what we want all the time, do we? Okay, so let's look at where we stand with Bitcoin. See, very good volume here. Pretty much like maybe an hour after Amazon did earnings, it found a bottom, and then the next hour after, we rolled back up. And then you see in the futures market for NASDAQ and S&P, it started following Bitcoin more and more. So just as I did my show and ended it, right, went to sleep, probably about an hour in, you start seeing it rise more and more forcefully. So by the time I wake up, like an hour before open, I'm like, oh boy, it's just gonna stay up, isn't it? Fuck. Oh well, whatever. Can't do much, you can't do much. So that's why I always say, like, if you do trades, you gotta close them as soon as you make them, as quickly as possible, because unless you're monitoring this stuff like 24/7 and you trade overnight, pre-market, after-market, blah blah blah, I don't want to do that. Honestly, and trade futures, I don't want to do that shit. I just want to get my money within an hour of open, right? The majority of my money, and then get out. That's what I want. And today I was hoping like it will be one of the days where I can do it the whole day. Like we have cool action, very good action, going down and up. All right, so that didn't happen. Okay, let's look at the QQQ. So let's look at, how about the 15-minute chart? You can see here, when we opened, we did this. All right, very strong, very good, over the moving averages here. And you had 2 red candles right after. So this is within an hour, right? And then the last candle of that hour, we move up. And then from there, it's smooth sailing. Now, what's the best way to play this during the day? Well, you long STR, pretty much, because here, the first 15 minutes, you have this. Actually, this was within 3 minutes. 3 minutes, it was just shot up and stayed zigzagging for 15, the full 15 minutes. So I'll show you. So let's say you see this, right? You don't need to catch this one, like right at the open. Let's just say you waited a little bit, waited a few minutes in. And then it did this zigzag, 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 zigzag. You see it's not breaking down, right? You see the NASDAQ, you go to the NASDAQ chart, and then you see it's still trying to defend. Then you pretty much would say, all right, I'll buy here, okay? Make a stop down here somewhere, maybe this bar. Maybe you say, I'm getting out at 118 or something. And then you ride the whole way up. So, from my opinion, Bitcoin is kind of like a leveraged NASDAQ, and MSTR is just a leveraged Bitcoin. So playing MSTR is like just a super high level leveraged NASDAQ. That's all it is. And so when you get like a 1%, 2% move on the NASDAQ, you can see it just amplifies this. This thing is just amplified. So from open to close is 26. Now, you don't need to catch all of that, right? You can catch this much of it, and this is like 10%. And then what you do is you would use the leverage, MSTX 2X leverage, and you would get your 20% this way from here to here, see? And that's what you would do. So, yeah, pretty much 17 whatever percent. I think that's the max. If you held out all the way, you would have got a little bit more to make that a 20%. But from here to here, that's it. That's over. By lunchtime, you're done. You're pretty much done. You don't need to wait till the end. You could wait till the very, very end, but it's not necessary. The bulk of it was there. So that's how I look at things. Okay, that's how I look at things. You kind of compare. And I bring this up because yesterday, you see what it did? It did the opposite. So this level here that was set on Wednesday, the bottom of this daily movement at 121, like it opened here, right? It was fighting. And the interesting thing is when you look at Thursday's action and compare it with the NASDAQ, look at how the NASDAQ was doing on that Thursday. It was going up and then down, right? Up and then down. But you see MSTR was sideways. So for the most part, Bitcoin has not reflected a move up in NASDAQ. So every time the NASDAQ moved up, Bitcoin kind of ignores it. It's like it tries to go up and then it just fails really hard. And then when the NASDAQ goes down, it goes down even harder. So the whole month of January, I was saying like, okay, the NASDAQ's going to puke. The NASDAQ's going to puke. So this is why I always want to use MSTR for that purpose if I want to attack the NASDAQ. Because when it goes up, it just struggles. But when it goes down spectacularly. Now, this time around, it actually did follow the NASDAQ. And not only that, it led the NASDAQ up. Because you have to remember, this thing bottomed with silver before the NASDAQ really figured out what to do. Because it was undecided at that time. Amazon was down maybe 11% at most, like 12%, probably the peak after hours. And then once the futures market opened, the NASDAQ just decided, well, I'm going to stop bleeding and hold out here. But you see the Bitcoin bounced pretty strongly right after. So right here, right? Just as the futures market was open within an hour, it's like, okay, it's going down, but then it bounced. Very strong, very strong. So if that held, then I would say, okay, forget it. Because let's look at the 40-minute. This was where I stopped my 3 a.m. stream. So Eastern time, 3 a.m., midnight, my time. So it was just after that. So it was around here, right? And then it's just like, okay, it's just curving. It's curving. It's following this 18 moving average. So most likely, unless there was some weird thing that happened right at the opening bell, this thing would just pump too easily. And, you know, the NASDAQ pretty much followed it. Okay, so you can pretty much see here. You see this thing kind of lagging it. It's like it's trying, but it's not as powerful as Bitcoin. And then here, all of a sudden at 9 a.m., this is probably like when the Europeans start getting really happy. Then boom, this is over. Once you make this kind of candle here, this is 0.8%, which is huge for like an S&P or NASDAQ. This is a huge move. And if it doesn't retreat and go down from there, like you already broke 2 moving averages now, it's going to be really hard for somebody to come in and say, all right, well, we're just going to puke. So where do we stand now? Okay, so with the NASDAQ, we're still below this 25,000. So let me go back to the QQQ chart. Okay, we're below this box still. So NASDAQ is still looking weak. Okay, but if you look at the S&P, it's a lot stronger. It's definitely a lot stronger. And so we're right back just around the gamma flip line. Okay, just around the gamma flip line. So if it holds this next week, so if Japan's elections doesn't kill it Sunday night into Monday morning, then I would say, okay, guess nothing to do anymore. We won't be day trading anymore for the rest of the month until Nvidia has its earnings. I don't think anything's really going to happen anymore until Nvidia does its earnings, if that's the case. The only other earnings that might affect it would be all the software earnings coming out next week. So next week we'll have a lot of software earnings. But software, the whole index itself, like look at Palantir, right? They've already been beaten up so much. So to me, you really have to have very bad earnings to make it go down even further than it's already at. It's like the prices are too low. Expectations are too bearish. When people's expectations are bearish, all you have to do is say, oh, we're not going to have that bad of an earnings. Okay, we have bad earnings, but it's not as bad as you thought it was going to be. And then it pumps. So case in point. So yesterday I told you that I would be worried about shorting something like Roblox. Because looking at this chart, look at it. It's already had a terrible downtrend since October going into earnings, right? So this was last earnings, and then since then it just collapsed. So expectations probably are very bad. So all you need to do is say, hey, it's bad, but it's not as bad as you guys thought. And then you have a bounce. And that's what happened today. So along with the market, this thing was actually probably good for a day trade if you wanted to, because look at this. You had a gap up, you lose it all, then you follow the market again, back up. So this is round trip. This is what I wanted to see for the whole market, not roadblocks. So okay, whatever. This is what I wanted to trade, right? This is what Bitcoin, NASDAQ, S&P, gold, silver, this is what they should have done. They should all together now go down and then go up. Okay? And you would have did this and you would have made a lot of money, because it would have really, instead of like just dipping here, it would have crashed way lower and then would have went way higher. So that would have been a perfect, beautiful day trade. You know, you would have like over doubled your money probably with leverage, like really easily, with the MSTZ, MSTX, ETS for MicroStrategies. Yeah, you would have been like up 30%, and then going back up would have been up like 60% or something crazy like that. Something like during April last year, you know, something wild, but we didn't get that. So if you see this in Roblox, then I would say good. You know, this means like you probably stopped the bleeding temporarily, and perhaps you can trade it up, because there was a lot of volume here. So that means all kinds of sellers were going into earnings expecting the worst, right? They wanted to get the F out, okay? So several days before earnings, get me out. And then when we have earnings, after earnings, we get back here. So if Monday is okay and you end up at 72 on Roblox, guess what? This whole area is like an event. So this is a huge volume here. And the result is that nobody went lower than 60. You went right back to 72. In that case, I would say the next several months for Roblox is very good. So unless the NASDAQ pukes, you know, after the Japanese elections, because the yen does something funny that people don't like, silver and gold start crashing again, and that spills over to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin to NASDAQ, whatever, I don't know. You could go all the way up to 90 something, maybe even 100 from 70. Okay, so that could be a trade you can make over the next quarter. So this thing can rise into next earnings cycle, and then when we have earnings, it's ready to crash again. So this is why, you know, nothing goes up and down in straight lines, right? This thing is in a trend of going down for sure. I don't have no clue if Roblox is a good company or bad company and how it manages its money or doing. I don't give a crap. All I see is a chart like this, and it's moving far away from the moving averages here from the week. And I see this high volume event. I see it's not making a new low. Then I would bet that there's a good chance this thing at least will try to recover to 100 before continuing the move down. So this is what you do when you do chart reading. That's it. That's what I do. I just look at emotions, people's expectations, and psychology and try to trade that. That's how you make the money. You cannot make money if this is all just noise. This is not noise. This is basically people's hopes and dreams. When Roblox was going up, they were over expecting outperformance. Then when it didn't deliver, then they get very bearish. They get too pessimistic. It goes down violently back to April's level almost. And then once they get like, wait a minute, it wasn't as bad as I thought, then they'll get excited again, get back in, get hyped, and then the next earnings is not as good as expected, then it goes back down. So that's why you read charts. It's just all about psychology. That's all it is. Okay, so that's it. Make a profit. Yeah, I just did MSTR stuff like every day. It was just like short from last week. And the only longs I did, Dalmatian, was oil. So UwU, if you did UwU, like I said at the beginning of the week, you were up 10%. This was one of the only ETFs that did quite well. This is the sector that's doing quite well. And next week, we will start exploring individual oil companies, exploration companies, but we'll start with refineries, servicing companies like Marathon. I don't know if they did earnings already, like Marathon. How's this one doing? Okay, already had earnings. Okay, good. Okay, up nicely, 15%. Okay, yeah, these will be the stocks we gotta be looking at. Perfect, beautiful. So this will be beautiful. So MPC, first one on the list then. Plop. All right. Anyway, Monday dump. I don't know. Ask Japan. I can't do nothing with Japan. All right. What's good? What's up? Twan 1881. I've been doing good with USAR. Okay, I'll check that out. I'll put it on the list. I have to get a list going of people's recommended stocks. Some people have recommended other tickers. I'll have to make a list, and you can always tweet me. So there's a Twitter on the description. I guess you can just tweet a reply and put an @ on my name or something. I don't know. I don't use social media, so I think that's how you do it. All right. Okay, MPC. Okay, first one, 2 guys. Alrighty. Okay. Let's see. So what's USAR? Oh, okay. Rare earth. Huh? Okay. All right. I see some good. Okay. Good. I'll look at that some more in more detail. Okay. What else? Anything? Speaking of metals, mining, and whatever, TMC looks like it's trying to hold that 5. Okay. Well, if things hold up next week, I guess we're gonna go get back into this. I don't know if silver is gonna crash anymore. Maybe it's done doing it. It was up like pretty nicely today. Right, we got up 9.88%, something almost 10%. Very good. It has similar chart to Bitcoin, so on the daily anyway. So kind of reflects that. So here's what Bitcoin's doing now. So I put this pink area here. I think it's gonna range around here. It's gonna zigzag around here. I think for the rest of the weekend. If things go well, it will just stay in this range. Okay. But unless the elections results makes the market go up, then I guess we could break out again. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't expect that though. I think the damage is too profound, right? Like you're looking here at the daily. So, but it's so far from the moving average on the daily though. It's just like, man, I don't know. But this candle's so significant. It's just that I just don't know if this green candle is going to set the new tone here. Because let's say Sunday, it just moves back down, right? And then Monday, it just gets back to the bottom of this very rapidly. It might be that I might get my dump finally, where it just kind of like fakes people out. It drops below 60, scares more people out at 53, and then that'll be a more significant bump to push it back towards 80 again. But 80,000, I don't know. I think that's too much speculation here. I can't think about like that. That's like 10 steps ahead, and we have too many variables now. Only Nvidia's earnings is next. The Fed won't talk again until March. Yeah, March. So there's many days before Powell talks again. I don't even know if people even give a crap about Powell. All right. Yeah, Powell is like out of the door, but he could say stuff to just piss off Trump. He could just say things like that just to mess up things. He could, right? So only 2 more meetings for him, March and April. So he could do that to spite Trump. So that's something to look forward to. But overall, yeah, we made it. We got into our levels here, 60K, bounced exactly at 60K, very round number. I know people are psychologically keyed into round numbers. We got that moving average from the monthly going up, and we survived it. So I think we're okay. I think we're okay here. But don't expect anything more than that. All right, Palantir boring as expected. So it had a pop, but didn't get anywhere. So nothing actionable here. If it got a lot higher, maybe I would have shorted it again for Monday, but no, it didn't. So if it's here, then nothing. Very little action. It barely even follows the market. I think this will be a problem with the software companies, right? They're very low expectations. People don't want to get back into them, and there'll be a lot of earnings next week from many software companies. They better say AI a lot, I suppose. I don't know. If they don't say AI enough, they get punished. And then when you have Amazon and Google saying like they're spending too much money on AI, they get punished. So it's kind of the market we live in. So the big data center cloud providers and all that, if they say AI too much, then it's a punishment. As the little software companies, mid caps, large caps, small caps, any kind of software, they say they're not incorporating it as quickly as possible, don't get punished. But I'm going to talk about 2 MVP stocks right now, 2 MVP stocks this week. Okay, after earnings, we had 2 great stocks. Winner, Lumentum. Okay, Lumentum is the winner here, 40.8%. So if you want to thank a company, you thank this company for keeping your NASDAQ from collapsing this week. This is one of them. The other one, Teradyne, TER. Okay, up 24%. So 24.5. So these companies still doing well. SanDisk from last week didn't do much this week, so it is high, but just stayed put at least, I guess. So, I guess notable mention. And we have the losers. So these are the MVP for the bears. So if you wanted to short a company for earnings, then it was PayPal. Okay, we are back at what is it? Back at the IPO levels, nearly. So $40, pretty close to when it started trading at $34. PayPal, and then we have Snapchat. This very stupid company, looking just about the same. Back at the lows at 2018. Terrible stocks. These are the losers. So these are the MVP stocks for the bears. Okay, that's it for this week. Oh, and other mention is battery solar provider, Enphase, battery servicing, all that good stuff. So they did a lot of work installing batteries for people, and they had good earnings. So up 34.7%. This has now officially broken its downtrend so long as we get above this monthly downtrending moving average, this downtrend set in 2022. So this is good. If we get low interest rates after we have our new Fed chairman, David or Kevin Warsh, right? Then we'll make it. This thing will start riding up to 120, 200, who knows. So this will be something you have to keep an eye on. This is TAN, the solar ETF. See, done well since April. It just needs to break out from 57. If we break this, then we'll be doing good in Enphase. So Enphase will be the top of the list of these type of stocks to look at in your portfolio. So when we start making our portfolio, and I put in some test trade or investments. So we're gonna do something like that where I'm gonna try to beat the S&P 500 with restrictions. I don't cheat with shorting. I don't. Well, maybe I'll take that back. Maybe I'll do minimal shorting. I won't use options. I won't overtrade. That means I only change the composition of the portfolio a few times a quarter. All right, maybe 2 times a quarter. Maybe I'll limit that. And I'm only going to use stocks, okay, and some ETFs. So I'll restrict myself, okay, no leverage ETFs, just straight ETFs. I'll restrict myself, and then let's see if I can outperform the S&P 500. If I can do that consistently, then we'll take that model and expand it to other things. All right. So this will be the first wave of things I'm going to do for you guys who are not interested in the trading aspect, but using the same ideas to do for investing. All right. Okay, that's it. I think we're good to go. So I'm gonna have to promote Universal Jones's new show. So he has the Boyd Show. This is the second episode. After that, we'll come back and I'll just do some DeMarc stuff and go over wrap up with some other things. That'll be it. 30 minutes. Okay, good. So this is his second show about the Boyd. So he's gonna do all the cycle analysis. Okay, and he has a live stream tomorrow, so you should talk to him to see like what you want to see from him. But yeah, this is the psychoanalysis show.
Boy, watch the pattern. Force shape into one cohesive track. Bottom of YouTube. B-O-Y-T, bottom of YouTube, static in the air, truth in the booth. B-O-Y-T, watch what you consume, watch the pattern, don't become the fumes. Bottom of YouTube, static in the air, truth in the booth, receipts on the screen, rumors on loop, clicks turn to crowds, crowds turn to proof. Down in the feed where the masks fall through, everybody talking like they got something to prove. Whispers go viral, truth gets bruised, and pain turns.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to the Boyd Report. I am Universal Jones, and this is where we talk about the bottom of YouTube. Not in the way that everybody else is talking about, but slightly different. We're talking about the psychological and sociological elements of this ecosystem known as the bottom of YouTube. Now, if you watched the first episode, I just kind of gave an overview of how I see the bottom of YouTube, how I see Boyd, and where things are headed. Now, I really believe that this is going to be bigger and is bigger than what we know it as right now. For myself, I'm only in a few different Boyd circles, and I'm pretty sure this expands even beyond YouTube itself. And I want to be one of the people that's pointing out this culture because I do think this is going to be a new element of our society. I don't think that this is a phenomenon. I don't think that this is something that's happening within a bubble. I think this is really showing and proving the new set of human dynamics that we have within the world that we are in today. And we need to pay attention to this because this will manifest into more things as we go. So what I'm doing in this series is just breaking down some concepts that I'm noticing within this sector of Boyd. Some of these things are psychological concepts. Some of these are more sociological concepts. Some of these are just things from Universal's head. And it's here for you to decipher and you to add on to or subtract from as much as necessary. So we're going to get into today's episode 2, which is on receipt culture. You got to have the receipts. If you ain't got the receipts, it didn't happen, right? In Boyd, receipts are very important. You know, recently I've been targeted. Me, yeah, your boy, Universal. Actually, to be honest with you, my internet lore within the last 2 years has been quite amazing. I've clouded up in Boyd in some weird ways, but recently I was attacked from a piece of my lore where a younger gentleman, a guy who's younger than me, had some choice words about where. Let me not say that. Let me say it this way. He had some choice words on my dating preferences and some of the ladies that I've engage with offline. And I had to, I listened to him and I was giving feedback. Really wasn't attacking him. He was more attacking me. I was making points and trying to connect it back to actual content and not necessarily making an ad hominem or attack this person individually. But he did get to a point where I had to point out something that he has done that I have caught him doing. And the first thing he said was, pull it up. Where are the receipts? Now, I don't have the receipts because the receipts were actually someone else's receipts, but I was around when one of the things happened to prove the receipts. Now, if we really wanted to get the receipts, we could, but the things that I shared with him and the things that she shared with him both prove that it happened, right? But he would just say, pull up the receipts. And then he would say something else that was interesting to me, where he kept saying, well, you don't DM me, you don't DM me, you don't DM me on Discord. And my response to him was, I don't DM guys about much of anything. If it's not work related or business related, I'm not really DMing many guys on Discord. And I don't really have a need to DM him at all. But again, what that references is bring it back to a form where we can record our interactions. So if I need it later, I have quote unquote the receipts. So receipt culture is when proof becomes entertainment when it comes to Boyd. The big idea here, though, is that the receipts aren't really truth. They're more tools, tools to be utilized for further action later, for further authorization, for further proof, to push the lore to the next level. That's all receipts are about, right? And what we do is we can explain the selective evidence, the context collapses, and ultimately what becomes kind of the judge and jury here is the audience, right? We have a courtroom of fandom that takes place with the receipts. It's like that damning evidence to close the case at the end of a trial. That's kind of how receipts are. And these things pop up and are shown on screen or screenshotted or whatever. This is how this operation goes. So receipt culture is very real and very necessary when it comes to Boyd. It's one of the ways that Boyd continues the narrative, continues the social dynamic that takes place, is by producing or not producing receipts to further feed the audience. Let's get into it. Receipts use receipts used to mean accountability. Yeah, you have a receipt, you can be accountable. If something ever happened and you needed an alibi back in the day, you could say, "Oh, I was at the store there that time. There's no way I could have committed that robbery. Look, here's my receipt. It has a timestamp punched on it that holds me accountable to where I was during the time of that robbery, whatever, right?" But now, in a lot of corners of the internet, receipts mean entertainment, and they are meant to be moments of proof. And that moments of proof really isn't about, is this true or not? It's really about the entertainment, right? So truth optional, right? Because a lot of times, some of this receipt stuff can be interpreted a certain way. You can use receipts to really push yourself in a position to be true or not true in a situation. You can leverage screenshots, you can leverage recordings to prove your side of the story or your part of the lore to win the battle, to win the match, or to further things as much as possible. So let's continue to talk a little bit about what receipts are in receipt culture. Screenshots, clips from other streams, DMs, old lives. You'll start to hear quotes in this space like, I saved that video, or I have a folder of items. I know a couple people, they archive all these things, even some things that are in private, people are archiving. I'm not one of those types of people. I try not to archive private things. But sometimes you do have to prove, hey, this is where I'm at. Sometimes you may be telling the truth about something, nobody believes you, and you have to pull out something to say, no, this is where I'm coming from, and this is what's happening. So we're not denying accountability when we talk about receipt culture and Boyd, but what I am doing is analyzing what happens when the evidence becomes a social weapon and a content genre, right? Receipts are social weapons. This is how we fight and engage within this culture of Boyd. Now let's think about this. In a healthy world, receipts protect people from gaslighting, but we know gaslighting is another one of those things that fuels this engine of boy. That's gonna be a whole nother episode later on down the line. Receipts preserve record and they help communities hold power and they hold accountability. Right. So you're trying to hold accountability, but really it's a leverage play, it's a power play, it's a control play that receipts do. So in Boyd spaces, receipts often do something else. They convey conflict into collectibles, right? So what do I mean by that? So once a conflict is collectible, the goal shifts from understanding to winning. All right. So again, what is happening here is receipts are being used as a chip in warfare. It's a tool. It's a weapon. And its only purpose it's not really to prove that something happened, it's to win the war, right? So you see a lot of this fighting going back and forth. You see people who come out of nowhere, they have issues with you, didn't even know there was a problem between you and them, and they'll pull up a receipt. See, this is what you said on this panel, and blah 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 blah. It's a fascinating dynamic. So receipts then they get distorted in kind of three common ways. Let's talk about the distortion of receipts. The first thing is context collapses when receipts are brought in. Again, because it's feeding a narrative. A clip from a 2 hour stream becomes a 20-second gotcha moment, or a 10-second gotcha moment, or a 40-second gotcha moment, right? Gotcha, right? The tone, the lead up, and even the intent that is displayed in the clip can really sway things one way or another. So that's how context gets distorted a lot with receipts. Let's look at the second way. Curation bias. Curation bias is another way that receipts become deadly. So people don't bring all the evidence. They don't need to, especially if the person has a lot of sway within Boyd or they have a lot of influence. Let's say they have a lot of influence. They don't need, but all they need is that clip to prove that point. And now the audience kind of leans and goes with them, right? So receipts bring the evidence that supports the story that they want. Whatever that influencer wants, they find that clip, that moment, and boom, they got them. And then third, status incentive, right? Status incentive. So the person with the most receipts becomes the archivist hero. I'm going to say a name right now, and I'm not attacking this guy because I think he's doing great content. But Deadman, right now in the circles that I'm part of, the Boyd circles, Deadman is the archivist hero. He has all the receipts and he has great commentary and he's quick. He doesn't wait for stuff to happen. You know, another person I'm going to throw in this category, but I think she has an even bigger role than the archivist hero is Ruby. Ruby is an archivist hero. What she does on Celebrity Sundays weekly is she's archiving Boyd. She's record keeping, she's receipt keeping, and she's asking a lot of questions. Now, like I said, I think she has a higher role than this, but she does blend into this kind of archivist hero archetype. So the receipt keeper gains power, and because they control what the community believes happens, that's Deadman. Deadman fits that role very well. Again, not attacking him. He's a much bigger YouTuber than myself, but I'm hat tipping and pointing out that's kind of the role he plays in this small ecosystem of Boyd that many of us who are watching this video right now are in. Check out.
All right, guys. So I don't know if you guys follow this stuff, but this is where I came from. That's the community I came from. So outside of telling you guys about the stock market, all the BS drama, that's what I watch. This is the entertainment that we have right now. Now, this is entertainment good for your mental health? Absolutely not. So let's go and see what Universal Jones has to say about that stuff. All right. So please tune in to Universal Jones's new show. He's posting up videos about the Boyd. I'm gonna start helping him, curate and have some themes about people, right? We have some themes, we have some archetypes already. We got archetypes now, I suppose. And maybe we'll write a grant from the NSF and he can get his PhD postdoctorate and all that stuff. It'll be great. It'll be great. Perfect. And we can get paid for being in the Boyd. Hopefully, instead of me paying for this trash, let's have the government pay for me to pay back, and we could have even greater content. Even who knows? So yeah, UJ's channel, Be Better Network, on YouTube. Yeah, what's up, Gobbledygook? How's it going? How's it going? Yes, Jeremy, I told you guys this game was bigger than us streamers. Oh yeah, the game is quite big. It's quite big. We are entering a new world here of parasocialism. And this is it's going to be the norm. I'm going to suspect it will be. And, there'll be people with sex dolls. There'll be people with Discord friends, and this will be it. And we'll be isolated, siloed up, and the elites will win. And, so we got to be bullish on certain stocks here. So, of course, bearish on humans, bullish on AI, right? We need to donate these to science. yeah, I'm doing fine. Pretty busy these days, so we got lots of things to cover. I think the market's going to get more wilder as we move, so I'll be doing less and less stuff like this. Hopefully, I can help as much as I can, pass it along to Universal Jones. I mean, I don't know if Deadman's going to come back anytime soon, so we'll have less and less people keeping track of things. But at least Universal Jones will give you a more professional, clinical, I guess, way of looking at people in the sector. So that'll interest people that love to psychoanalyze. I know you guys love to psychoanalyze people, so why not? Why not bring it to that level? All right, back to the stocks now. Okay, put down the banner. All right, so here we are with back to Bitcoin here. So I haven't explained how the DeMark counters work. Even I don't fully understand it myself. So I don't feel comfortable explaining something I'm not like a real expert in yet. It's going to take me a while to get used to it still. I wanted to do this last year, but because the markets were so easy to understand, right? It's like a big bounce from April. You didn't need this stuff. This is only useful if you want to really capture turning points in trends. So T-Spells yesterday asked me, oh, do you scan for trends? I mean, I'm not sure what she meant by that. But if she meant like, oh, do I know how to look for trends and stuff like, well, people usually use moving averages, but moving averages are a lagging indicator. I kind of alluded to that by talking about the death cross yesterday. And in that case, it's a very bad indicator, right? Death crosses are very bad indicators. They come way too late. That's why they're called lagging indicators. Now, a DeMark indicator here is hopefully, I hope, once I learn how to use this appropriately, is a leading indicator. Like I can anticipate the turning points better. So last year, I played some videos by this guy named Rick Bensignor. He used to have like these weekly shows on YouTube, and he would kind of go over how he looks at the markets, but you had to pay him money for his analysis. Like, most people who go on YouTube, like they do that to advertise their method and then sell you something. All right, that's usually how it goes. They'll sell you a book, they'll sell you a course, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to waste my money doing that, right? Because if I pay for his services, he's not going to really teach me everything he knows. All right. He still wants to sell his like market reports, to people. But I watched a bunch of his videos and I kind of got the gist of what he was doing. He uses two key tools. One of them is the Ichimoku Cloud. Ichimoku Cloud is very well known, but it's not really used in I guess the Japanese way, because the way the Ichimoku Cloud came to us was through some guy who had to ask around, but I don't think his Japanese was very good. So our knowledge of the Ichimoku Cloud is probably not precise. And Rick claimed that he personally, went to Japan, learned the Ichimoku Cloud. That could all be BS to advertise his services. I have no clue. But let's say he is. He claims that he was the one that taught people in America how to really use it. And actually, the author of one of the books for Ichimoku Cloud did learn from him. So that is true. That fact is true. So the guy, the basically the textbook on Ichimoku Clouds in English, he learned it from Rick. So if Rick does know things about how to use this, then it's probably going to die with Rick, or he's just going to tell his son or something. And you know, this is how it usually goes. Most people, once they have an edge, they won't tell everyone the real thing. They kind of will mention, oh, I use this, I use that, but they won't exactly tell you the precise way of how they use it, right? They'll leave certain details out. Anyhow, the second thing he uses is DeMark. A lot of DeMark indicators, and the main ones he uses sequential, which everyone kind of knows, and the second one is combo, and then maybe the D wave, which is what I'm using here. So what I'm going to do is try to reverse engineer how Rick did it. Okay, how does Rick look at things? I'm going to try to reverse engineer through this. I didn't want to do this 2 years ago because you would have to pay Bloomberg Terminal and then pay for the package. A Bloomberg Terminal is 20 grand a year subscription. Second, you had to buy the packages from DeMark. DeMark will tack on probably 5 grand, 10 grand. So I would have to pay like 30 grand. I mean, I'm not like going to trade so much that that's worth it to me. Like 30 grand a year, and how much better am I going to make in profits if I'm a trader? I can't justify that. So only recently, his son, I think DeMark's son, created this, Symbolic. So Symbolic is a web-based service, and I could buy DeMark indicators on there. So once I got that, I decided, all right, since it only costs like $1,000 a year, all right, I'll do it. I'll get it, and I'll try to learn this stuff, try to reverse engineer how Rick did it, and see if I get better at trading. And if this works, I will pass along my knowledge to you for free, and you will take it and do whatever you will with it. That's it. That's my gift to you, okay, you guys, because I'm always a believer on paying forward. So I got to where I'm at from a lot of people in my past, and I'm now going to pass along this to you before I leave this realm or earth or whatever, because I'm not getting any younger. And, you know, as long as my brain still functions kind of well, then I'll do this. I'm not in my 20s, all right? I used to be very good at learning things quickly and doing stuff. Now I'm getting slower and slower, so I better hurry up here. And once I learn this, if this thing gives me a better edge than what I've learned so far in my 20 years of investing and trading, this will be great, because this is what I want. I want to be able to capture a turning point. So Bitcoin dropped yesterday. Was it going to end its advance? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 counts, and that sets the trend. Okay, so for the next trend, we're gonna wait 4 or 5 bars here. Okay, 5 days. So probably next week we'll go sideways, and then we'll either go back up or continue the trend down. And that's what you want to see with DeMark. And you have this green line. This green line is set by the D wave. So we already hit pretty much near 58,000. So that's our limit for now. If we look at the weekly chart, however, okay, let me take away the Ichimoku. You don't need that, I think. Well, actually, no. We're looking weekly. You'll need it. So the lagging line has gone through the cloud. So this is the cloud here, this green fuzz, whatever you want to call it. And the lagging line has broken through. So the potential of it going down a lot further has pretty much increased quite dramatically. And we've already started 1, 2, 3 counts going down on the DeMark. So if this thing continues, we should hit 9, and then we'll stop at 9. This thing could reverse and go back into the cloud, though. So if this thing is strong enough, okay, this bounce we got Thursday evening into Friday, if it's strong enough, then it could reverse easily. And I assume, like, if this thing is a fractal of this pattern here, okay, we could just say this is kind of like this pattern. So back in 2022, when we started the bear market for Bitcoin in the 22 to 2023, once we broke through the cloud here, and then the lagging line broke through the cloud here, we had, at the 5th week, we had a good bounce, and it stopped it from moving for 4 weeks before continuing, 3-4 weeks. So I'm guessing this is what's going to happen now, because it was very strong. There was a lot of people buying. So I think we should, well, I assume they were buyers anyway. Maybe the Japanese elections will prove me wrong. But if this thing can hold, so for the whole month, okay, going into early March at most, we'll hold before continuing to 50K. Okay, so I think this is what's going to happen. So I'm going to be watching for that. So let's see if that's true. If that's true. If this is, so I'm working on this. Trying to understand this stuff. And this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, I mean, like, you already saw it, like, in pre-market. Pre-market was already done. That's why it's all day trade. Day trade, you get in, you get out. I don't trust overnight. If you leave something overnight, I'm just going to leave a little bit to gamble, but I ain't trusting it. So at open, whatever left over, MSTZ I only kept MSTZ. Palantir was like, I think it's done. So MSTZ, I just left. And all it did, like, at open, was like, it already erased pretty much everything I gained that day of whatever little position I had. I just went long. So MSTX. Okay. So that's it. Yeah, just as Dead Man was beginning to cook. I know he was doing so well too, but when you get good, your mental health starts slipping. You get issues with your wife. Come on, that's not healthy. And that's why bear markets are hard. Okay, tropes. And you see, look at SOX, right? Look at SOX, right? That's why I got out 2 days ago and never went back in, because you got to give me a better reason to go short again. It wasn't giving me those reasons, and we already bounced off of moving averages and stuff, and it recovered pretty well today. So there you go. It takes a while to get a real good short going, and you have to get in, you get your money. That's why they call it short. I mean, it's in the name. That's why you don't say long. Long means like you're sticking it out for a long period of time. Short just means like, yeah, the stock is going down, but you're trying to get the profit quickly and then get the hell out of there. It's very rare to have it like go down in straight lines. MSTR did do that last year, though. That was like, if you go and look at John's panels, I went on it one time and told him to short MSTR, because, like, you see this is a very good trend, right? 9 weeks. This is 9 weeks of it going down. Very clean. No sideways. Down. Pretty much no sideways. Pretty much, very rare. All right. Then we went sideways, and now we're starting again. But you can see here, look at this bar. Look at this bar right now. Too strong. High volume. Very unlikely to erase this and continue going down. Very unlikely now. It's possible after Japan's elections that this will continue going down, but it's now unlikely. The probabilities are against the shorts continuing this move. So, yeah, this was beautiful. And I think the reason why it was so nice was because, the NASDAQ wasn't crashing like this. Only Bitcoin was. So we had a bull market in the stock market. So that kind of made people very, very unworried about rushing out of the market. So there was plenty of liquidity. So it allowed people to steadily sell out of MSTR in an orderly fashion. Most times when you have a crash, a panic, people yell fire in the theater. Guess what? It just goes swing down real quick, right? And then you have a bunch of people trying to call the bottom and rush in to buy. And then you have overcrowded shorts, way too many people shorting. And then when the market starts turning, they get blown up and they quickly try to exit and cover their positions, causing more people to buy. And so that's it. So in general, you go up in a nice escalator stair step way, right? And then you drop like an elevator, but then you shoot back up like an elevator too. That's why bear market rallies are a thing. And you saw that today with MSTR. MSTR went up 20-something%. So yeah, that's why it's dangerous to be a short. Most people shouldn't be playing that, but it's good practice. I think if you learn how to day trade and short, it will improve your game. All right, so you use the same techniques as you would as an investor. All you would change is how your duration. So instead of looking at hourly, 15-minute, 10-minute, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever, you're looking at daily, weekly, monthly, even quarterly and yearly charts. So you would look at very long-term charts, and you would use the same ideas to do your analysis. And that's why everything, I believe everything's fractal, guys. So everything you learn in the small, it should apply to the large. So micro to macro, right? Macro back to micro. And because everything's a pattern. Everything's a pattern. Human psychology is just a pattern of the universe anyway. Cycles are patterns, right? So if the sun kicks off a solar flare, changes the climate, there's a cycle to it, and it will affect agriculture, and that agriculture will affect you. And we have seasons, right? You have spring, you have winter, you have fall, right? Autumn, summer. That's basically it. And it comes in cycles, and it changes your mood, your perceptions, and also stock market, right? So these things will happen. They all affect each other. Anyhow, let me get back to this. I was gonna get let me see. How would I look? 78-minute chart. Okay, let me look at a 78-minute chart for you. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is a 78-minute chart. Okay, how much it got up to an 8 count of here after a 9, and now we're doing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so next week, let's see if we can get 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so one more day, see if it moves up, see how far it moves up. We're gonna hit up this cloud pretty soon. I think this cloud's gonna move down and it'll bang its head on it. And then we'll see if that's the place to re-enter short. But right now, it's not looking to me like it's going to continue down. I think it's just going to zigzag sideways, pretty much like what gold and silver miners are doing right now. Like silver came back up, gold miners kind of went up, but not really. So we're stuck in a range, very, very tight range. The Bitcoin range is probably going to be larger, but I still don't feel like I want to trade it. So I probably won't be trading any short-term day trades. I'll just be concentrating on getting you guys stocks to buy in your portfolios for oil and gas. Okay, oil, natural gas, shipping, oil, natural gas shipping, stuff like that. We'll start expanding further. Let's do 240 minute chart here for Bitcoin. Let's see. So, okay, we are on the 5. So I'll see how this does over the weekend. If it doesn't roll back over on Sunday, Monday, then yeah, this thing should easily get back up to 80 next week. All right. So I'll have to check the cycles on this, see if it's gonna matter. That's another thing I'll add to the list of things that I want to incorporate on analysis. But yeah, watch for my Substack. I'll try to start making a Substack for you guys, and we can go from there. Okay, let's summarize what happened this week. These are the Magnificent 7, and I tossed in a few other charts. Let me edit it and add Teradyne. So I'll add Teradyne because it's MVP, it made MVP. So I'm going to add Teradyne, and I'm going to add, what else? What else was a good one? Teradyne, is that it? Oh, Enphase. Okay, since that was a very good solar battery company stock that did well in earnings, so I'll add those two. Okay, to the list here. And let's go back to summary. All right. So let's do the week. 1 week performance. Okay, Lumentum wins with 40.87%. Then we got Enphase 34.67 and Teradyne at 24.5. So we got 2 MVPs, honorable mention, ENPH. Okay. Now let's look at the rest of them here. Walmart 10%, Cisco Systems, they'll have earnings next week. Apple recovered, so that's probably one other reason it, like the Nasdaq, didn't really go down. So it really recovered nicely this week. We got Johnson Johnson, Costco 6 to 5%. Berkshire Hathaway, all right, 5%. Taiwan Semiconductor 5%. JP Morgan 5%. And let's go down. SanDisk, of course, you remember, is 3.77%. Marvell is another AI company. Will not report earnings until much later. Broadcom will not report earnings until much later. So these two, you have to wait. And the rest are in red, pretty much. The worst, Oracle. Very bad. Very bad company right now. Very bad. Ugly chart. I have no clue what's going to happen for this earnings, but I think it's going to be important. I think we have 2 weeks before it reports, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I think it reports after NVIDIA even, so it's going to take a long while before we know that one. Amazon, loser here too, 12%. Reported earnings yesterday. AMD, still, it lost everything this week, so 12% loser. So 3 losers right there, and Oracle didn't even report yet. Okay, Palantir will report earnings, 7%. Yeah, pretty much bad. Microsoft reported last week's, but still dropping this week, so almost nearly 7% drop. Micron actually down 5%, so it's going to report earnings very late. It's going to be nearly 2 months before we hear from Micron, so I have no clue. And Google reported this week down 4.5%. It was actually down 2%. So I guess it had sympathy with Amazon. I don't know, maybe someone said like they didn't like their earnings and issued more downgrades. Who knows? Tesla still moving down from its earnings this year, and it's down 4%, 4.5% this week. So NVIDIA won't report in 3 weeks. Okay, so you can see that we're going to see less and less stocks here that will be green. I think eventually these will all start turning red after they all report earnings over time. Well, not all of them. I mean, Johnson Johnson's a staples of pharmaceuticals, and Costco ain't gonna. But you'll see Cisco probably be down. Walmart probably not. Walmart's pretty strong at containing tariff costs, so it's probably Cisco will have issue with. Cisco might bleed into ANET and Oracle. I think I put ANET on this list. ANET will report. Arista Networks down 3%. Watch this one too. It'll report on Thursday, I think, next week. Okay. Actually, let me get the tweet out. I think I downloaded it, and you can take a screenshot of it. So there'll be earnings. Open with Firefox. Okay, so take a screenshot of this, guys. These will be the major earnings next week. Not many semiconductors, only on semiconductor. We have a cloud, big cloud here, Nebius. You have AppLovin, AI, Shopify, also important, like this consumer discretionary and I guess, yeah, software, kind of. I don't know. Vertiv, definitely going to be interesting. VRT, I'll definitely watch that. A-Lab is a small semiconductor company, very volatile stock. So, yeah, I might cover it next week if it's interesting. You have Datadog, okay, D-Dog is the ticker. Spotify, obviously one of the famous Spotify. So Spotify goes down, that might signal something. I think NDY is an important AI software company. I'm not sure. I don't follow that area very well. Same thing with D-Dog. They're all in that. Anything else? DraftKings. Yeah, maybe I don't care. Maybe I won't. AMAT is another semiconductor company, so that's on Thursday. And Arista, I said watch, right? ANET. Okay. Pinterest might be important. Yeah, maybe Pinterest with Shopify. Those two with Spotify. Okay, maybe those three will make the market kind of look at things. Robinhood is the same thing too. So HOOD. So they kind of like gives you a feel for how much consumers are spending, okay, in discretionary areas. So maybe those four together next week might bring the NASDAQ down. But like honestly, there's not much here that I could, unless every earnings in this list is bad and takes everything down. It's just hard for me to see any of these as being the reason the stocks will go down outside of maybe Cisco. Okay, Cisco might be big news. And Lyft? No, Lyft is not that important. I'm sorry to say, Lyft is not that important. Yeah, probably that's it. Cisco. Maybe Cisco is the only one I would be worried about. If the Cisco reports really bad earnings, maybe it'll drag the semiconductors down. But like, it's hard for me to see like why semiconductors are going to go down next week. There's nothing here that will really affect it outside of Cisco. Even if Arista is bad, even if onsemi is bad, even if what else? AMAT is bad. No. Those three are not like enough outside of Cisco. Cisco is the big one that people will be looking at. So only one stock, that maybe the NASDAQ will freak out about. Okay, unless all of these stocks report bad things. Just give the crack algo so we can plug it into agentic AI. Yeah. I need to learn AI too, I guess. I'm gonna have to talk to Garion. I think I need some young people. I'm just too old, man. Anyway, last thing I'll mention here, SPY. Okay, so I said 2 Sigma event last night, 3 a.m. Eastern. I said 2 Sigma event. So 2 Sigma meaning the SPY will go up to 692 and 662. In this chart, I screenshotted, right, from, I think I put it in the description. So all the links, all the sources, Universal Jones's channel, everything I put in the description. Okay, in the description, you go to the description, you have everything you need, and I have links to my previous shows all ordered. Okay, and I'll make playlists. So Garion asked me to make a playlist. Once I organize everything better, I'll make playlists of certain shows. So I'll make specific shows for specific people even, and I'll get more organized. Okay, that's definitely my weakness. Here's not being organized. So go to figuring out money. This is where I get my stuff from. This chart here. He does all the analysis for expected moves every week, and every other day he'll go on YouTube and do a quick show talking about it. So you get this number. So it was very important yesterday I get back on here and show you the numbers of what he was expecting in terms of levels. And I was thinking it's going to be a 2 Sigma event. It's going to be huge. And the upper level would be, according to him, for the SPY, so S&P 500 ETF SPY is 692.78, and the lower bound would have been 662.46. My dream yesterday, well, it's still today, right? Yeah, it's still today. I mean, my dream today, like during the open market, was that it dropped to 662 and bounced to 692. I would have got a 2 Sigma down, 4 Sigmas up. Okay, a Sigma is, in a normal distribution, a bell curve, Gaussian distribution. So if you know statistics, this is where you have your really, really rare event where you could do unbelievable trades. So here, let's look at the SPY here on this chart. So 662. Let me do 10 minutes or something, or 15 minutes. I'll do 15 minutes here. 15 minutes. Come on, load. Okay. So look at where we tapped. So this bar high was 692 and 31 cents. 692.78 cents. Bam! It was a 2 Sigma event, man. We had a 2 Sigma event. But guess what? We didn't go down to 662. No, we didn't. That would have been awesome. We could have had a real good trade right here, man. This would have really been amazing. Could have shorted and longed all at once at the same day. Could have went all the way down here. It would have been crazy. Let me get my C scale. Let's get back to price. Let me get okay. So it closed here. Okay. Okay, 662. Let's see, 662. Yeah, we would have been down 1.5% probably. Yeah, oh, even more than that. Oh shit, man, nearly 2%. We could have been down 2% before going up 4%. Oh, that would have been beautiful. That would have been beautiful. Holy shit. Oh man, you made so much money in one day doing that kind of trade. Oh well, didn't happen. Sorry. One day could have made like what 50 G's for me. Yeah, or more. I mean, if you did options, you probably made like 6 figures, man. Like from like a few $1,000s to 6 figures or some shit. If you had a real 2 Sigma event, oh man, that's where the real money's made, you know? Like you did options on SPY or something and you did some crazy shit. Yeah, you could have. Yeah, oh well. Too bad. Too bad. Back to boring boomer investing next week, I guess. No more trading. Nothing's in the horizon. So unless Japan, the Japanese elections does something to the markets, okay, Sunday morning, we won't have anything to talk about in terms of day trading or crazy trades. I'll begin my discussion of picking out boring oil companies, steel companies, copper companies, you know. I'm sure you'll be excited next week, right? Okay. All right, guys. Let me end it with this video here.
Gates apparently did make a comment. Bill Gates breaks his silence on the latest release of the Epstein files. This is from today.
Every minute I spent with him, I regret and I apologize that I did that.
Kind of that issue of trust brings me to Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know what your relationship with him was.
Yeah, I met Jeffrey in 2011. So over a period of 3 years, I had a number of dinners with him.
Yeah.
The focus was always.
So what about like the Russian hookers?
He knew a lot of very rich people, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. You know, in retrospect, that was a dead end, and I've said many times, but I'll say again, I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him.
Right.
You've no doubt seen the allegations, including some of them from the last 24 to 48 hours. Are they true?
No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. You know, was he trying to attack me in some way? But
So let me get this straight. Jeffrey Epstein wrote an email to himself because he knew that after he was killed, the main thing that he wanted the public to know is that you were sleeping with Russian hookers and you wanted to give your wife a antibiotic so she wouldn't know that you transmitted an STD that you got from Russian hookers to her. And he knew this almost 10 years before he died.
And that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection, and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing.
You know, I've left, I remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it. Those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
And he did this to frame you specifically, to embarrass you for... Just listen, man. Really, just come out and say it.
It just reminds me,
Yeah.
every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that.
The problem is some of the things that he has sent and some of the information about other people that has come up in those files has been true. Why would he?
The problem is that the other stuff was true. Why is the stuff about you not true? What a great question.
Do this and say this about you, do you think?
Yeah. Why would he do this?
You know, it's factually true that I was only at dinners. You know, I never went to the island. I never met any women.
He never went to the island. He never met any women. Well, if you didn't meet any women, why is there a photo of you next to a woman with her face blacked out? I mean, that seems very odd.
And so, you know, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
Man, another Microsoft Oh, God. How about that? Cooked? Yeah, I guess so. Oh my God.
Yes, guys. Well, enjoy the Epstein files while they last. Cleveland Cliffs from, yeah, I know Cleveland Cliffs. Cleveland Cliffs is a disappointing steel company to me. You know, Cleveland Cliffs, like, they overpromise a lot of things, but I never liked that company. I always went for Nucor, NUE. That was my stock of choice. You know, that was it. So, all right. I'll see you guys next week. We'll see what we can do. Maybe it'll be boring. Maybe it'll be exciting. Gotta wait for Japan. Let's see if Godzilla gets unleashed. Let's see if the Pearl Harbor happens on the U.S. stock markets on Monday. I don't know. All right. Later. Oh, yeah. And please subscribe to my other channels. Basically, we never know if YouTube is going to yoink us at any moment. So if you're watching this on The Urban Landlord, you know, also please subscribe, okay, to give crack to me on Kick and YouTube, because we were suspended for 2 weeks on The Urban Landlord. So I always simultaneously broadcast to my 2 channels. I also broadcast to a backup channel for The Urban Landlord, but, you know, I'm not going to say what that is. I think you guys can probably figure it out. And, of course, always, tomorrow, Universal Jones will have a live stream. Let me get the link for you guys here. So it will be noon Eastern. There'll be a live stream on Universal Jones. All right. So that's the link. Let's see here. And this is what it's called. It's, do we really actually want healing, or are we crowdsourcing our self-esteem? So I think it will be a panel. You can join in. So I think this will be first of his panel streams that he's doing. So yeah, Saturday, noon Eastern. Okay, see ya guys.